on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, here we go. It just happens to be Wednesday, halfway point of the week. Welcome in. Welcome in. On this Wednesday, I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. In all 82 counties, your hometown heroes, that's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agents. I'm here. Beaver is here. We'll check in with Beaver in a minute. But, you know, it's proof Beaver's here. The fact that we're on the air. The fact that you hear this is proof that Beaver is here. And I would say, and Beaver would probably agree, most importantly, you are here. Therefore, we got a reason to be here. Thanks for being here and tuning in, however you're listening, wherever you're listening, and you can be a part of the show as usual. You can comment on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, out there in X land, formerly Twitter. Feel free to drop a comment right there. If you just type it in and post it, I'll see it. It'll pop up in the column here on the computer screen in front of me, then I can pop it up on the screen so you can see it. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Number to text is 885-3776. That's a 601 number, 885-3776. Another good way to remember that is 885-ESPN. All right, so you text that number, I get it. Also call me on the Davini phone, the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment in Madison and in Jackson, your Kubota dealer. Number to call is 897-1059. It's a 601 number, 897-1059. Well, your comments, your texts coming up, but I told you yesterday, we're back, top of the hour. We got headlines brought to you by MortgageManMS.com.
I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines on the show brought to you by Illuminate Bank and my man Went McGee over at MortgageManMS.com. They are licensed in all the states in the union except for Maryland. They've got diverse products. Not only can they offer mortgage loans, but also access to second mortgages, construction loans, checking and savings accounts. All of that. And I'll tell you more about Illuminate Bank coming up. You can learn more. Head on over to MortgageManMS.com. Well, I think right off the top, you probably know what the headlines are. First of all, huge win last night for Mississippi State men's basketball. It's back-to-back top 25 wins, and that's a top 10 win at home over Texas A&M. 16-point win. Looked pretty good, right? 70-54. Man, how good was Josh Hubbard last night? 25 points. Whew. 4 assists, and at least a couple of those were firing it into the corner. Claudell Harris, who buried some big threes in the second half. And so State gets the win in the midweek. And they'll look ahead of the weekend. And on the baseball diamond, a big win for Southern Miss. A shutout win over Mississippi State last night in Hattiesburg. And so that's an early resume builder already for Southern Miss. And they improved 5-0 on the baseball season. There's just a couple of headlines brought to you by our friends at Illuminate Bank. And I'm going to tell you more and more about them as we go forward. All right, okay. First up, where's B? Hey, B.
I'm right here.
I got to thinking about something you said yesterday that tickled me. And it wasn't during the show, it was after the show. We were walking out of the radio station yesterday, and I think I said something to you along the lines of, that is the worst radio show I've ever been a part of. And Beaver, what you said that I thought about it later and I got tickled was, you said, well, Matt Wyatt, I would love to be in a position to talk you out of that opinion. But I'm really not. Now, Beaver, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being a great radio show, 1 being a fireable offense, where do you think yesterday landed?
Oh, okay. Let's see.
That's a pretty big scale there.
So we'll go yesterday. We'll put it at a 4.
Okay. All right. That's about right. That's actually better than I thought you would give it.
Well, do we go? See, I usually don't like going decimals because if we're gonna do that, I'd say 3.5. But we will round up to 4.
Okay. Yeah, I got tickled later. I thought, yeah, Beaves went, well, Matt, I'd love to be able to talk you out of that position, but in other words, I totally agree with you, Matt. The whole show sucked.
I'm here to tell you the truth.
Wow.
Not the whole show, just most of it.
Just most of it. Okay.
There were moments.
Okay.
There were moments. Hey, don't get down on yourself.
Okay. All right.
It wasn't 100% bad.
Okay. Have you ever been a part of a 100% bad one?
You can always find little moments,
Yeah.
I guess. But I am sure since I spent, let's see, 3 years and 2 months with Chris Brooks, somewhere in that 3 years was probably like in a 96% bad show.
Well, I know for a fact for myself that I have been a part of some in the past, Beaver, that I would rank about a 1. That when it was over, I was completely and utterly embarrassed to have been associated with it. And I'm not even talking about this show. I'm talking about some others. So I guess the silver lining is that life does go on. And in this case, we got a chance to try to redeem ourselves here today. And today we actually have content because we have actual games that occurred since yesterday's show. And some of it pretty doggone interesting for that matter. So anyway, all right, I just wanted to check in on that. Put it where it was yesterday. And just, let's roll with the idea that anything today is going to be better than it was yesterday. It's going to be really hard to be any worse than it was yesterday. Let's put it that way. So, with that established, I now head over to the Country Pleasing text line. Country Pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. It is the best, period, sausage you're going to eat. It's my opinion. J-Rock texted the show right out of the gates with a photo captioned, "Hey, Matt, breakfast of champions, OCP and the mug of coffee. Hail State with a thumbs up and a basketball." It is a half-eaten Little Debbie oatmeal cream pie next to his, looks like one of those big Yeti cups, I guess you call it a tumbler, if I'm trying to get the message across of what it is, with coffee in there. Looks like J-Rock doesn't drink his coffee black. He puts cream and sugar in there, I guess. That's okay. He's already got a lot of sugar there in that oatmeal cream pie. But there you go, J-Rock. There's nothing wrong with that breakfast. Okay, and I would tell you that Nick Saban, arguably the greatest college football coach of all time, would wholeheartedly, appreciate your breakfast because he's a big fan of the oatmeal cream pies. White Denzel texts the show. He says, how about those hard court dogs, Matt? The hump was bumping last night. We finally were allowed to storm the court. Thanks, Zach Selman, for letting the students have fun. You know what? So I did not I was driving, and I listened to the entire game last night as it was happening live with Neil Price and Coach Richard Williams on the radio. Okay, and the way I do when I listen to games, the same as when I watch the games. When the game's over, I turn it off. I don't need the post game. Well, that was when later on I got home and Annabeth said, "Hey, they stormed the court." I was like, "Who did?" She said, "State fans, the students and stuff at the game, they stormed the court." I said, "At the hump, they stormed the court?" Yeah. And at first I was a little bit like, well, why? I mean, they're ranked in the top 10, but it's Texas A&M. So I was kind of like, well, why did they storm the court? But hey, whatever. First time in how many years? Denzel, has it been 20 years since they stormed a court at State? Like, this is the first time in that long? And the images that I saw after that were pretty neat. Looked like they were having a good time. But I'm just being honest with you. When she first told me that happened, because like I say, I listened to the whole game on the radio, then I just turned it off and it was over. They win. And she told me they stormed the court. I was like, wait, why? Why would they? But hey, that's right. Top 10, big, win at home, back-to-back. I think I saw a stat today that's the first time since 1995 that State men's basketball has had back-to-back conference top 25 wins in the season, back-to-back. They sort of had multiple, just not back-to-back. So anyway, there's that. And then on the baseball subject, Next Gen Reb texts the show, and he says, Ole Miss got an ugly win yesterday. They couldn't get timely hits, but a straight steal of home and a walk-off home run salvaged a game in which the opposition scored 2 unearned runs in the ninth to take it into extra innings. Yeah, I saw that they went to 10 innings and that Ole Miss won the close game. But, again, you just win it. Playing Arkansas State, you just forget. You win it and file it away, and who cares what it looks like. And just be glad you won it. State's on the other side of that conversation. That's a good Southern Miss team. And I'm going to tell you what, I went back and watched the replay today, and, man, that kid that was on the mound to start the game for Southern Miss, he was in control. I was impressed with him. On that subject, I wonder if he was there in person. Winslow on line 1 of the Davini Equipment phone line. Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Winslow, thanks for calling. What'd you think?
Yeah, man, let's get this over with.
Okay. All right.
No, actually, some strange things have happened down there at Pete Taylor Park over the years in the games with Southern Miss and Mississippi State. I mean, obviously people remember the Andy Cannizaro series. And
yeah.
What was weird, that followed the regional win down there where State lost the first game and came up through the losers bracket, and it was threatened by weather, and there was speculation that the committee was going to just designate somebody. So, and then you can't forget, I think it was 06, Ron Pope was ejected from the game by the umpire, and then about a minute later they sent the uniformed police officer out there to escort him out. So.
I'd forgotten that.
Some strange things happen down there. When you go down there and you give up 1 earned run, but you throw the ball around like they did. Have you ever heard of the Steve Sachs syndrome?
Well, yeah, I have.
Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. He was a Dodger second baseman that just got into this thing about where he just couldn't throw the ball to first. And, that popped in my head last night. Sawyer Reeves is, great kid. I went back and looked, and he hadn't played second base in at least 2 years. He played like 100 games at shortstop at the Citadel, and I'm sure Coach Lemonis and he would tell you, that doesn't make a difference because shortstop and second base, often interchange. But just a lot of weird things. But if you want to look at some positives, Lucas Buckner, we've been hearing about him since the fall.
Mm-hmm.
The coach's kid, he's one of 3 players from that Farragut team in Tennessee. And I found out that the Buckner is the same family as Rex Buckner that played outfield for State in the 90s. Yeah. So he's kind of emerging, and, I don't know if we're going to have this Wally Pipp situation where, he takes the position and doesn't give it up. But he looked good. And another pleasant surprise, Ben Davis, the pitcher from the transfer from Minnetonka. Right now, he and Pico, they lead in innings pitched. They're both gone just 5. But, that was a very pleasant surprise. And, we talked to him last night after the game. And, very confident young man, very capable. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. So if you can find some positives in that weird game last night, that has to be the 2 that you look at.
Yeah. So no runs on 4 hits. Southern Miss with the 3 runs altogether on just 4 hits, but State 4 errors in the ball game. And that's what led to largely the first 3 runs of the ball game. But you're right. Here's another thought or two, and I'll see what you thought about it, Winslow. When I went back and watched the replay, yeah, Buckner. Okay, so he comes in and he's a lefty, right? He's not a switch hitter, is he?
I don't think so.
Okay, so from the left side, and he just looked like he was on top of everything he was seeing. He was not fooled, and I think the reason it stood out to me was throughout the night, Southern Miss pitching just had State's guys off balance throughout the whole lineup. Like, they're right-handers chasing the slider off the plate away, and left-handers getting busted inside with that 2-seam right-hand fastball that's catching the inside part of the plate. They take it for strike 3. They were just kind of off balance all night. But he was right on top of everything. Like, and he, that one ball he hit, I think it might have been the 9th inning, the line drive back up the chute. That was a breaking ball that he didn't fool him, and he sat on it and just hammered it back up, just like he knew it was coming. It just looked good to me.
Well, he reminds you, and Coach Parker calls him the poor man's Mershon. He reminds you so much of David Mershon. And talk about hitting. I think he left high school with the second most hits in Tennessee high school history.
Yeah.
So the kid is a hitter, and he's a hustler. And you see new guys come in, and you almost want to go, okay, well, that's this year's David Mershon.
Right.
And Robert Fortenberry that pitched last night, when he came in and saw him strike out people, and never exceed 91, he looks like he's this year's Cam Schulke.
Yeah, right.
So you try to kind of find roles, how you remember them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm looking forward to seeing Buckner play more, because Lamonis has been telling us about him.
Mm-hmm.
He's been saying, "Watch out for Buckner. Watch out for Buckner."
Well, he
as a
flat
freshman,
put the bat on the ball.
he's gonna play behind the senior Reeves until he gets an opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he hinted at that last night.
Hey,
so,
as far as watching a second baseman field the position, how good was Monaster for Southern Miss?
Oh, he was great, and I'll tell you, Dylan Cupp. If he can hit, he's going to keep his place in the lineup, because he made a play last night, and I was sitting there thinking, oh no, not another error, and he got the guy, and I was like, wow, that's an arm.
Yeah, the barehanded, that slow roller, his side of the mound, he's charging it and barehands it and flips it over to first. And you're right, it just like it was one of those nights where any little chopper on the infield, you're like, here we go. We're going to hit the padding on one side of the field with this ball. But yeah, he made that play. Also, I know that he had the one earned run that he allowed. He walked 2. I think he hit one guy, but the starter Foster, I know it's 2 innings and it wasn't lights out or anything, but man, for a freshman, I sure thought the stuff looked good. Like you could absolutely see the potential.
Yeah, he struggled the first batter or two, and then he began to get, some calls, and I thought, okay, he's settled down now.
Yeah.
And that one earned run was that home run. So, it was a mistake pitch, obviously.
Yes, it was.
And then Lamonis said, post game that their intention was to pitch him 2 innings, which they did. So, you almost kick yourself because, you could have been in a 1-0 game, and maybe you hit differently then. If you're only trailing by a run, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I will say this: we were treated very well down there. The Southern people were very nice and everything. Now the crowd was into it. I mean, there was a lot of importance placed on that game. And their crowd responded. So you got to give them credit for that.
Well, I'll tell you again, I wasn't there, you were, but just watching the replay of it, man, again, it just jumps off the screen at you how, important. You use the word important, but just at all 3 of our Division I schools in Mississippi, how important baseball is, because it looked like a great atmosphere on TV. People out there in the roost in the outfield, and again, it just shows you. You look at it, I looked at it and went, yep. It's just, it's good to be reminded again that in terms of support for college baseball, nobody else in the country is doing it like Mississippi does. And it was on display again last night. Looked like it was anyway in Hattiesburg.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, the press box is sealed off. We don't really get much sound from the field, but you could hear the crowd even through the glass.
Yeah. Well, that's good. And so I guess we get a rematch. In 2 weeks in Starkville?
Yes, it's early March if I remember right.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes.
Yep.
That's right before the spring break trip, and of course the conference starts right after that. So you don't know how the coaches will play it. Whether they will pitch somebody like Allen.
Yeah.
Foster's been mentioned as a midweek starter. For quite a while now.
Uh-huh.
So
right.
To me, he's in his role. Depending on how he pitches, and depending on how the 3 weekend guys do,
sure.
He could even contend for that.
Yep.
To me, you're almost looking at another young Dakota Hudson, if you remember back that far.
Yep.
He came in, highly touted and everything,
Yeah.
and struggled a little bit early on, but he left state in the high draft choice.
Yep, sure did. Well, it's good to hear from you, Winslow. Thanks for the first-hand account, and call me anytime. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, that wasn't that painful,
It wasn't bad at all. It's just baseball.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you. Yeah, win or lose, man. It's just fun to talk about results instead of all the previewing, just to be honest with you. We'll continue that and more and talk hoops. And Ole Miss got a big game tonight in Nashville in the snow. All right. Y'all stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com, at a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. It's where it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough.
Now on the Zone 105.9 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
All right, back with you here on a Wednesday. Coming to your text messages shortly. My man Jason and Hunter and Thibodeau and Next Gen and all y'all coming to the text line, the Country Pleasing text line. First up here, over to the live stream. Gene's on Facebook, and Gene says, Hail State, all caps, 2 exclamation points. And Gene, I do think it's appropriate, don't you? I think they win the big game, beat a top 10 team, run the students out on the floor. So Hail State back at you, Gene. Now, on the other side of the coin, and in a different city last night in the state of Mississippi, like Sven says, Hail State, everyone. Well, we got out-pitched by the Eagles last night. That is a good way, I think, to describe it, Sven, is you just overall, all totaled, you got outpitched by Southern Miss. Their staff last night collectively, especially their starter, the kid from Starkville Academy, was really good, I thought. I mean, like he had great command and was changing speeds and working in and out. Never really seemed to give in too much in the middle of the plate, and sometimes when he did, State would hit it right to people. They hit some sharp ground balls, but a bunch of ground balls early, and just didn't put the fat part of the bat on it enough, and so Southern Miss got it done. All right, Will on YouTube gave us a happy hump day. He pointed out that Caleb did a great job calling the game from what he heard. Yeah, I get to go back and pull up the live stream of that a little bit over at hailstate.com and listen into it. And I thought Caleb did an excellent job. His first time out of the chutes, getting to fill in for Neil, doing some baseball. And it was really cool for a kid like Caleb, grew up as a big State fan and going to games. And then you look up and there he is in the booth with none other than Ron Polk calling State baseball. A really cool experience for him. And I thought he did an excellent job. All right. Okay. Lewis said that they held the students up last night at the hump until after A&M had left the floor before they allowed the students to run out there. They avoided that way. They avoided any fine, which is really smart. So he says, glad they let them have some fun. Yeah, it was neat to see it once I went back and looked at it. And then back over to baseball. Hail State fan said, I was more bothered by the lack of base runners than our pitching. And that's the thing. Again, like Winslow pointed out, from a pitching standpoint for State, it wasn't kick and deliver issues. They threw strikes for the most part. They did get a lot of swing and miss with base runners on, and you give up one earned run, and collectively as a staff, you allow that Southern Miss team to get a grand total of 4 hits in the ball game, and they left 7 on base. What were the numbers? Okay, so yeah, and 2 walks. I mean, you strike out 8 as a staff. You only issue 2 walks, and they did hit 2 guys, and so there's some free bases in there. But it was not a pitching issue that last night. It was just not a lot of hitting, and certainly no timely hitting, not enough and to win the game. And you can't have that scenario also with kicking it around and throwing it around, kind of like Bad News Bears in the field. 4 errors in the ball game, that gets you beat. And on that note, Sven is the one that said that throw from the left outfield to first base who missed by 2 miles was so bad. No focus. We have to play clean baseball. Probably learned that, right? Probably learned that if you're State. Run up against some of these teams that you can't make mistakes. And Southern Miss is a really good team. Allen, the kid that started the game for them, threw 4 innings of hitless baseball, struck out 5 and only walked 1. Interesting stat line beyond that, too. So he throws 57 pitches in those 4 innings for Southern Miss. 37 were strikes. Strikes out 5 of the 13 batters he faced and gets 6 ground ball outs. And then so the other 2 was 1 ground ball double play and 1 walk. So it was strikeout or ground ball. That's it. Not a single fly ball out. Didn't have 1 ball popped up the whole time that he's out there on the mound. And as a staff, Southern Miss, that 1 walk by Allen was the only walk they issued the entire ball game. You had 5 pitchers total, 4 in relief, didn't walk anybody. And combined as a staff, 10 strikeouts for Southern Miss pitching last night, just the 1 walk, and allowed no runs on 4 hits. So, to say that they outpitched State, that's it. Sven said overall lost to a better team. Man, Southern Miss good now. I tell you, Monaster at second base. He was 0 for 4 at the plate last night. He struck out once. But, man, is he ever more good out there at second base. You talk about covering ground. Yeah, he was outstanding. All right, back over to the text line, the country pleasing text line. Country pleasing sausage on grocery store shelves all around the Southeast. He says, Jason says, I knew State would win that game because I texted this to Mr. Jake yesterday, quoting himself, A&M is a top 10 team. State will chuck up 33s and lose by 20. Same as all year. Quotations, fire everybody. So he's saying that he reverse jinxed State into winning that game last night. All because he said they were going to lose by 20. Hunter, he texted the show, country pleasing text. He said, basketball victory, softball and baseball both ranked. And he said, I told you Southern Miss and Troy are going to be an early season test. Lose to Southern Miss. Auburn barely beat Troy. He says, I'm looking for revenge on Southern Miss on March the 4th. Signed Hunter. Yeah, so the midweek next week is Troy. So the next 4 for State baseball. You get 3 this weekend, weather permitting, against Missouri State, who's always a more than competitive baseball program. Missouri State actually have been pretty good. Been a tournament team a bunch. So, I don't know what they have this year. We'll see. And then, the midweek next Tuesday is hosting Troy, who they're every bit capable of coming in there and beating you for sure if you don't play clean and play well. All right, Thibodeau texted the show. He said, and I quote, I didn't think yesterday's show was bad, but if you feel like it was, maybe you should have digressed from previously digressing in a complete and total digression. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll go along with that. But I digress. Next Gen Reb, look at this picture. Hold on a minute. Is that Swayze? Covered in snow and ice? Wow. Next Gen, I live in Tupelo. We got snow. We didn't get ice, but we got snow. Everything was really beautiful when you woke up this morning. I'd say probably about an inch or so all over everything, except the roads. The roads were good and warm, so none of the snow's stuck on any of the roads. It just, you woke up to a beautiful scene, and now it's already melting out there for the most part. But, yeah, it looks to me like Swayze really froze over. That's what it looks like according to your picture. They're not supposed to play today, are they? I don't think so. I know basketball's playing tonight. That's what we're going to take a look at. Okay, speaking of hoops basketball, real quick. You know, how important potentially is this win for State last night over A&M? I mean, just stack up the reasons. First of all, yeah, it's a top 10-ish type of basketball team in there. You know, and A&M came in with only 3 league losses. They were 9-3 in the SEC, so they were right up there within a couple of games of Auburn and within a game or so of Alabama and Florida. That's the kind of team you're talking about with A&M, the kind of year they're having. So, yeah, it's a big win for that reason. The other thing, okay, it locks up State in terms of solidifying a spot in the NCAA tournament. Okay, so you can kind of rest easy there, I guess. If you believe that stuff. It locks it up. Puts them a game above 500 in the SEC. And now it's 2 wins in a row. One on the road, one at home against, really good ranked teams in Ole Miss and A&M. With a stretch coming up, State's got some winnable games, certainly some winnable games coming up. It's at Oklahoma, winnable. Kind of a weird trip. First time for the program to go out there as a conference game. But it's a winnable game, certainly, if you play well. At Oklahoma this weekend. You follow that up with a midweek next week at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Really hard place to go win and play, but it's on the road. Then it's back-to-back home games with LSU and Texas, 2 very winnable games. And you're going to finish the regular season on March the 8th with a winnable, tough, but winnable game at Arkansas. State's schedule is, if they can continue to play well, they could really finish strong here down the stretch. And we'll see. It's kind of the other end of the conversation, though, for Ole Miss. Now, they're at Vandy tonight. We'll look at it, but they got some tough games coming up. Auburn's in there. Did I say they're at Vandy tonight? They're not. They're off tonight in the midweek. They're at Vandy this weekend. But then they've got some tough ones. Auburn in there, Tennessee in there, Florida in there. So Ole Miss looking at a tough stretch. All right, rolling along. Stick around.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and murraywest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, murraywest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there, Murray West. You can find them online, murraywest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I had this opportunity come up to a friend of mine that was an agent here at Farm Bureau that, he said this may be something I like to do because he knew I was involved in the community. And what we do, we're supporting the community. We're doing stuff to protect the members of our community. I've been here almost a decade. And what we do, we help people every day through the products we sell. We make recommendations to them, stuff to protect their assets, protect their lives, their families, and we're local. We're local people. Everybody that works in this office has grown up here, lived here, played ball in this community. I've coached in this community, been on the park boards, the sports league boards, the booster club boards. The community is what's important here in Farm Bureau. We push the local community. We're a Mississippi company. That's a Washington School team ball from 2019. Greg Wallace was the head coach then, and him and I were really good friends. I've been in Greenville my whole entire life. My family's been here. This is home. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to support the people of Washington County, protect them. I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County. We are the home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now.
.com.
Back with you, I'm Matt. In the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Hey, Beaver.
Hey, Matt White.
Today is your day. Today is your day. Today, Beav, might require a trip to the local Krogs for you because it is National Mint Chocolate Day.
Okay. So, just last week,
Yeah.
how did you get on? You and More Bully went on this just violent outburst that was uncalled for and downright wrong against mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Well, now it might have been downright wrong and it might have been uncalled for, but I don't think you can categorize it as either violent or an outburst, either way.
Well, I simply say violent because I didn't agree with it. Therefore, I chose to use the word violent outburst.
Are you one of these snowflakes, Beaver, who if you don't like something, you quote unquote feel attacked?
You've triggered me. I use that. Yeah, I break in the word. You bring in the word triggered.
Triggered. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, but that same day, and I think I left a message to let you know.
You did.
I went to Krogs right after that show, and I got a pint of mint chocolate chip. Only to send it y'all. Well, of course, I was going to eat it later. But before I did, I was going to specifically to send y'all a picture of it. And I ended up not going with that ice cream. But anyway, so that's how deeply I took it.
You went to Kroger to get specifically for a very specific time-sensitive reason mint chocolate chip ice cream, got there and got persuaded somehow to change your mind and bought some other kind of flavor.
Yeah. No. I went with a totally different dessert.
Didn't even get ice cream.
See, here's what I did. It was in the buggy, And then I'm going to the registers, and the Brandon Krogs, it's entrapment is what it is, because they have a display right before you get to the back self-checkout. It's a Little Debbie stand where you can buy individual snack cakes, and they don't mess around with. There are OCPs and there are fudge rounds, but they say, you know what, we're just going to go straight into offering double-decker OCPs and double-decker fudge rounds.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, Little Debbie, you got me.
Okay.
So I put that in the buggy, and I went all the way back to the ice cream section and put that ice cream away.
Put it back. After all that defending it, saying that just because we said we didn't like it, that it was a quote unquote, and I am quoting, a violent outburst, defended it, sent me a message, everything, but didn't love it enough to actually go through with buying it. Put it back.
Yeah.
Well, that's all right, babe. No, and the way we got into talking about it that day was, I don't know how we got into that, but it was, remember the reference to those little dinner mints, after dinner mints?
That's right.
Yeah. And I remember you used to go to the restaurant, and there's some places that they would either put them on the table for you or you'd pick them up when you're on your way out. And they're in a little green package, and it'd be mint and chocolate. And so I said, in any other scenario, I'm not for the combination of chocolate and mint. And you were a bit offended. But today is your day, Beeve. Today is National Mint Chocolate Day.
But it's not specifically ice cream. So does that mean I got to get like a York?
Yeah, the peppermint patty. And that'd be mint chocolate. Let's see what it says here. This goes way back. Recognized by the U.S. National Confectioners Association. First of all, Beeve, did you realize that we had a National Confectioners Association?
And never.
Me neither. We got one. National Chocolate Mint Day is observed annually across the nation on February 19th. This holiday, it calls it a holiday. It's not a holiday. It's been set aside for all the mint chocolate lovers to eat their favorite treats all day long. You're right. It did not say specifically ice cream. You can use the hashtag if you choose. Hashtag. Now, they go with Chocolate Mint Day. I think in our neck of the woods, we reverse that and go mint chocolate. The Aztecs and the Mayans are given much credit for their ways with chocolate. And while chocolate was brought back to Europeans, they were not fond of the dark, bitter beans, so they used more for medicinal purposes than anything else. Mostly consumed as a hot beverage. Now, Beaver, that is referenced in the Christmas animated movie Polar Express. Where they have the scene on the Polar Express where all the kids get served hot chocolate. And there's that one little nerdy kid who he's telling everybody how smart he is, and so he recites to them where it came from, and it was from Montezuma. But I digress. Europeans mixed mint, cinnamon, and other spices into the chocolate to make it more palatable. Over time, they added sugar. The combination of chocolate and mint became fashionable. It's like other things that really don't taste that good. You ever notice it? Is that the wealthy folks decide, this is for wealthy people. Snails, fish eggs. Why do they do that? Real C texted the show, and he said mint chocolate ice cream is superior to all others. Now, wait just a minute. He said it is the GOAT of ice cream. And his only choice for second on his ice cream list would be butter pecan. What?
Yeah, Real C. Stand up to him. I
Really?
like that. I like what you're saying, Real C.
Of
Like
all
your
the
words.
flavors in the world, we're going to say those are 1 and 2? I mean, here's all I'm saying, Bieber. For you or for Real C or anybody, it's fine to go. It's fine to say look, I like these the best, and I realize that I'm a little different. But really, I mean, we can't call mint chocolate ice cream the greatest of all time.
Now, Matt Wyatt, hold on. You have to realize this medium that we're in, sports talk radio. People don't deal in, I think, my thought is, this is my opinion. No, sports talk radio is all just stating matter of fact.
Yeah, you're right.
Your opinions all become matter of fact.
Yeah.
On these shows.
And what you're touching on here is that apparently, evidently, if we follow the evidence, Beaver, you must state your opinions as fact and never even consider that it may just be an opinion.
Right.
In order to be successful in this medium. Because all the successful idiots will state anything as a fact and don't care how unfactual it actually is. Am I close?
Yeah, that's this whole business.
Okay, well, let me take a shot at it right here. Let me take a swing at this. Mint chocolate's not even anywhere near the top 10 of the greatest ice cream flavors. Period. End of story. That's a fact. You can't have things like plain old chocolate and strawberry. Those things can't exist, and you also tell me that mint chocolate is number one. How'd I do, Beaver? Is that how we do it?
Yeah, see, now you get it.
Okay, now I get it. Let me take it a step further. How about this, Beav? Anybody who thinks mint chocolate is the best doesn't know what they're looking at.
Oh, you don't know what you're eating.
Yeah, you don't know what you're eating. I knew that would get him. Real C commented and said, "I'm truly sorry if facts hurt in some way." Yeah. The fact is, Real C, you love it. You love mint chocolate ice cream.
Now, Matt, why? But okay, I understand you don't like the chocolate mint that he speaks of, but can you argue with butter pecan? You can't argue with that flavor.
I like it, but it's not number two of all the flavors that have ever existed. I mean, when we have cookie dough and we have cookies and cream and Rocky Road, you're telling me that we're going to put butter pecan number two? It's just, we can't. We can say that it's very good. I will eat it if you give me some. And also, we can say there's not a thing wrong with Real C loving it second only to mint chocolate. There's not a thing wrong with that. But we can also say it's just simply not number two on the list. Universally accepted and that sort of thing. It's not. We got to go with something like chocolate chip, cookie dough, cookies and cream, Oreo. But really, it's all good. Give me. I like all of it. Strawberry. Yeah. Hour 2 coming up. Stick around.
Oh, you like this? It's the new iPhone 16 Pro with Apple Intelligence.
I'm Eddie Holcomb with Washington County Farm Bureau Insurance.
I'm Scott Rainwater with Farm Bureau Insurance here in Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I'm Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both.
Break me off a piece of that.
Look at that. What that is. That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
Grew up on a family farm out past Leland, just born and raised here in the Mississippi Delta. Never really thought about moving out. You know, it's where my roots are. Our family's a big sports family. It was 4 boys and 1 girl, and all 4 of us boys went and played ball at Delta Community College. My dad, he's always been honestly a role model of mine. He's farmed his whole life. We attend St. James Catholic Church in Leland, where we went to church my whole life, and then now continuing my family, me and my wife and my 3 kids. Being a Christian is everything for me and my family. Being born and raised here in this area, there's just something about this area. I mean, when you pull into it, you don't see a whole lot, but being born and raised here and the farm families and just the people that grew up here, the people that you see here, you see in the grocery store, you go to church with, small town community, you're gonna run into people that you know. It puts a smile on your face knowing that you know the people in your area, in your community. Get to know them as friends and now bring them in to my office here and creating that relationship, extending it on, getting them as insureds, as customers of mine, who I call friend. I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau, and we are the home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
Now, tonight's all about your skincare.
Wow. With Snapshot from Progressive, you can get a personalized rate based on how you drive. And that's all the validation you need. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in California or from all agents. Surcharge possible for unsafe driving.
The impact of a meal goes well beyond feeding our bodies, because when people don't have to worry about where their next meal is coming from, they can truly thrive, like Marta.
And now we'll hear from our class valedictorian, who with our hard work never ceases to amaze us. Please welcome Marta Moreno.
And Alex.
Hey, Alex. How did the interview go?
I did it! I got the job! I can't believe it!
I knew it. Let's meet up later to celebrate.
And Diego.
Mom! I got first place at the science fair with my volcano project.
That's amazing, sweetie. Congratulations.
Because when people are fed, futures are nourished, and everyone deserves to live a full life. Join the movement to end hunger at feedingamerica.org/actnow. feedingamerica.org/actnow. A public service announcement brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
WRKS Jackson. We are good to go.
With more of the Matt Wyatt Show.
Coming to you direct and live.
At the Zone 105.9 and worldwide.
Now, here we go.
At the Zone 105.9.com.
Hey, here we go. Hour number 2 of the show. Off and running with you. Hour 2 of the show, off and running with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team. Coming up, got headlines. After yesterday, it's kind of obvious what those are, isn't it? Also, got your comments on the live stream, YouTube, Facebook, X. Just type in a comment, post it right there. I can see it. I'm going to pop it up on the live stream. You can be a part of the conversation that way. You can also text me on the Country Pleasing text line. Now, after that flurry, there's a pun in there somewhere, actually. After that flurry of conversation about ice cream flavors at the end of hour 1, there is some leftover strong opinions, including on mint chocolate and butter pecan and some good stuff in there, okay? So I'm coming to all that. Staying connected to you because of C Spire, the number 1 network in Mississippi is C Spire, customer inspired. Check them out, cspire.com. Headlines are back.
Good evening. I'm Ron Burgundy, and this is what's happening in your world.
Good evening, and welcome to Eyewitness News.
Here's what's making news.
Headlines, top of each hour, brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank, and my man, 𝐌𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢. Y'all tell him I said hey. The all-new Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. You can learn more at mortgagemanms.com. Anything mortgage. Trust me, that's where you go. Okay. Big win for Southern Miss last night. Midweek baseball over Mississippi State in Hattiesburg. 3-0. A 3-0 shutout. Southern Miss starting pitcher Allen from Louisville went to Starkville Academy. 4 innings of no-hit baseball in his start. Struck out 5, walked 1. As a staff, Southern Miss pitching 10 strikeouts, just 1 walk. And not a lot of hits. 8 combined hits in the game. 4 errors for Mississippi State contributed to the 3-0 loss. And so they move on to the weekend. So they miss 5-0. Meanwhile, on the hardwood last night in Starkville, 70-54, 16-point win over a top 10 Texas A&M team. They let A&M get to the locker room and then open the gates, and the kids got to run out on the floor. Had a big time. And man, was Josh Hubbard ever more good last night. And the thing about it is, it's 25 points for him in, I don't know, a whole bunch of minutes. He hardly ever came off the – how many minutes did he play last night? 35? Yeah, so he led all Bulldogs playing 35 minutes of the ball game. Hardly came off the floor. Played 35 minutes, handled the ball, scored 25 points, throw in 4 assists to go with it, and commit 1 turnover the whole time. He was just good. And I mentioned those 4 assists, and a couple of those were late in the game where not only, I say late in the game, second half, not only when did he hit some shots to spark State regaining the lead and starting to stretch it out, but, drive, and 2 different times I know of found Claudell Harris in the corner who knocked down big threes. And Harris had a big night, very clutch night for State shooting the basketball. 15 points on 4 of 8 from 3-point range. And a big night at the free throw line. And in large part because of Josh Hubbard. He goes 10 of 11 at the free throw line. So they go for 85% as a team. Get 26 points off the bench, 19 points off turnovers. They're just really good. It's a big win for State. So those are your headlines at the top of hour 2. Brought to you by the Mortgage Man Group, powered by Illuminate Bank. all new. Check them out, mortgagemanms.com. Okay. We had plenty of time. We get the hoops. Let me throw this in there at you, okay? Sven on YouTube lives in Berlin, Germany. He says, Matt, none of these sorts or flavors outside of strawberry are even edible, he says. He says, who puts Oreos or chips in their ice cream? He said, I advise a visit to Italy if you want to know what real gelato is. Yeah. You know, I'll put it on the list, Finn, of things I hope to do and experience someday when I just take, a random trip to Italy. Is real gelato. For now, I'm just going to have to settle on some muscadine ripple in the press box. But I don't want my mint chocolate chip. I don't want it. Other people like it. That's fine. I don't want it. Not in ice cream, I don't. Again, after dinner mint, all right. Ice cream? Nuh-uh, not me. But to each his own. You don't have to like what I like. Okay. Handyman he texted earlier. He thought it was just an interesting coincidence that right as he was passing by the Brandon Kroger Beaver, hollered out something about the Brandon Kroger. Interesting timing there. All right. Cowboy. See, it was not only mint chocolate that we got into on the flavors. Today is mint chocolate chip day, National Mint Chocolate Day. All right. Beaver, a big defender of the flavor. So is Real C, and that's fine. That's fine. But the other thing Real C said was that the second best flavor all time is butter pecan, which it is good. I like it. But two on the list of all, number two, Cowboy Reddy texted the show, and he said, butter pecan is for grandmas and grandpas. Real C said, quote, it's difficult to convince those with palates of junior high kids on the preferences of mature and refined taste. Okay, in other words, grandmas and grandpas. Same thing. See, y'all are both saying the same thing from a different direction. Mailman David, he texted the show. He said mint ice cream was so bad that they had to add chocolate to make it edible. Because initially he says they had mint. Gino, a vote for butter pecan as number one. Okay, so here's the deal. Whether it is suitable or not to go on this long about ice cream flavors on the radio and a sports show, whether it is suitable to do or not, we've done it. We've done it. Now, Real C says, I am technically a grandpa. He is. So, yeah, maybe he's guilty. Me too. Well, not me too, but I know what I know what you're saying. Like we're from the same era, right? We are from the 1900s. Way back in the 1900s. Okay, so we're both getting on up there. Now, we have not touched on this recently, so I'll get Hail State fans' comments in here on YouTube. And he says, as a fan of all MSU sports, the elephant in the room is women's basketball turnovers, 26 in a loss to a mediocre Florida team. And he says, Coach Purcell, for some reason, tolerates them all 3 years he's been here. Yeah. Yeah, I know that was a bad loss, wasn't it? Florida. And isn't that the team that, did they start the league schedule against them and beat them by like 40 points or something? Maybe I'm not thinking about it right. I think they did. That's a bad loss for sure. Hey, but let me get back over to some of the things from the men's game. Look at the comparison between those two teams last night. That's a really That's a really good A&M team. I didn't necessarily, look at their schedule prior to last night's game. That might be something to look at, because I think I've seen it with State. I think I see a little bit with Ole Miss, different teams from time to time. They have these ups and downs because the SEC is so tough, and so everybody has a little bit of a down here and there where they either have a stretch that wears them out or it's just a tough stretch, whatever. I don't know. But, it's not like A&M has played an incredibly tough schedule the whole way leading up to that one. They've played Texas twice, including, one loss to them. They've played Oklahoma twice. And in the stretch leading up to last night's game for Texas A&M, it included at South Carolina, a 4-point win, who's a bad team. They did go to Missouri and win, a ranked team. That was a low-scoring game. But then back-to-back games against Georgia and Arkansas. And neither of those are like, well, I guess they beat Georgia by 16, had a good defensive ball game. They were coming off a win over Arkansas at home. But see, Georgia and Arkansas are both home games. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not like you had an A&M team coming off a stretch of like Auburn and Kentucky and Tennessee and Bama, So that would not be an excuse for them. And this was a big game and a big opportunity for them. And State just absolutely outplayed them. Except for that one little stretch there, I guess the back half of the first half. The way it sounded on the radio, listening to Neil and Coach Williams, was it just it almost started, it seemed like, with that lazy pass after the inbounds, where it's a close game, and you just get a lazy pass back to Sean Jones, and they pick it off and lay it right in. It was kind of a deflating moment. And from there on, A&M went on this little bit of run and was able to lead at halftime by 1. But other than that stretch, State really did outplay them because they built up a big lead early in the first half and then sort of just, blew them out in the second half. The second half, State outscored them 40-23. So, it was really, pulled away from the second half. And A&M only led for a little over 8 minutes in the game. State led for almost 30 minutes of a 40-minute ball game. So that's pretty telling. Some things were pretty even. 3-point shooting, and State had timely 3-point shooting and hit some big 3-point shots, but they were just 35%. 8 of 23. I'm sorry, they were 36%, 9 of 25, and A&M was 8 of 23. So A&M 35%, State 36. But it's like, in that first half, hitting a couple of threes from way, way beyond the arc was kind of what kept A&M in that and helped them have the halftime lead. Other than that, it didn't do that great. And A&M was not very good at the free throw line, just 62%, but they only took 13 free throws throughout the ball game. So and on the floor, State shooting 43%, they shot 36. Then turnovers. State forces 19 turnovers for A&M. They had 10 assists. So they were big time upside down in turnover to assist. 19 turnovers, 10 assists. State was flip-flop of that. State with 14 assists, 11 turnovers. And so, coaches always look at that stat, it seems like, and there's another example of, when it's that drastic of a difference between the two teams in assist to turnover, you get what you get. And then look at the points off turnovers, the difference in that one. State had 22 points off turnovers in the game, just 9 for A&M. So there's a big difference also. State did get out-rebounded overall. Not a big difference on the defensive end, but overall they were out-rebounded by 7, 38-31. So a couple more second-chance points for A&M. They had 6. State had 4. State was a little better off the bench in terms of bench points, 26-23. State was better in the paint, 22-18. State was better on the fast break, 14-12. 5 block shots, and that's big too. It's like, Coach Williams said at one point in the broadcast after a block shot by Keyshawn Murphy. He said, I think teams just don't quite understand how long he is And, they go in there and get their shot blocked a lot. I'll look and see who had what, but 5 blocked shots, just 1. And then, I mentioned the turnovers. 17 steals for State in the game, just 5 for A&M. So, yeah, it was that second half was really a sight to behold for a State fan. It was a good one because it's that caliber of team, play that way, shoot the ball that way you did in the second half. You can beat some people. And to illustrate the difference second half versus first half for State, they were 36% from three-point range for the game, but they were 50% in that second half. State hit 7 of their 9 three-point shots in the second half. Improved their, overall shooting second half over first half. So they just really, second half effort gets it done. What were the totals? Yeah, Hubbard led you with 25. Man, I just thought, going back and watching it, like I say, I listened to the whole thing and then I went back and rewatched it today. And I just thought, he's had some good ball games, but man, that was such a complete game for him. And no, it wasn't like it was a triple-double or anything, but he did have 25 points and 4 assists and some big moments there in the second half. A couple of those Claudio Harris threes were excellent looks where, like, for example, there's Hubbard at the top of the key and he's penetrating, so he draws 2 defenders and then almost no-look bullet pass into the corner and hits him open for a 3, and Harris knocks a 3 down. And I felt like when it was still single digits, after State got the lead early second half, still single digits, it's kind of back and forth. There were a couple of times where it was just Hubbard on, off the dribble drive, get to the rim and layups that were huge kind of momentum moments in that second half. He just seemed to do everything at the right time. And like I say, played 35 minutes. That led everybody. So he goes 25 points in those 35 minutes. He was 50% from 3 of 6, but 10 of 11 at the free throw line, 6 for 10 overall. A couple of rebounds, 4 assists in there, only 1 turnover, and had 4 steals. He was just really good. Cam Matthews, he played 34 minutes, didn't have a high point total, 5 points in the game, didn't take a ton of shots, but 6 rebounds, couple of assists, and had 6 steals. And, there he is in 34 minutes as a starter and not really contributing a ton in scoring points. Didn't have a huge night in terms of numbers of assists, but he finds other ways to just totally affect the game. And 6 steals leads your basketball team last night. So he was really good there. Melendez with 10 points in 26 minutes. He was only 1 of 7 from 3, but he was perfect at the free throw line, 3 for 3, and had 5 rebounds in the ball game as well. Nwoko, he didn't score. He was, in the game for 18 minutes, had 2 points, 3 rebounds. But you get 15 from Claudio Harris off the bench. I mentioned 4 of 8 from three-point range, 5 of 10 overall shooting the basketball, had 4 rebounds, an assist in there. 21 minutes, had 2 steals off the bench. And, 3 of the team's 5 blocked shots was Keyshawn Murphy. And that's right, Sven. I mean, Cam has never been a big scorer, not really expected to be. But Sven says, he's that glue guy for the team. He obviously is. When they win, there's always something you look at where Cam has these other little ways where he's kind of helping to take over the game. And it's not by scoring a ton of points, right? It'll be a night where he has 12 assists. It'll be a night where, like last night, he has 6 steals in a game. He just finds other ways to help take over the ball game. But Murphy with the 3 blocked shots, he had 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 blocks in 20 minutes off the bench. He had a steal in there also. And a couple of big momentum type baskets for him. One was, late second half. He's got the ball, draws a double team. He's in the corner. He's basically closed out in the corner. There's nowhere to go with the ball. Shot clock's winding down to the last couple of seconds. And so he just spin move into the corner, falling away. Not quite, but reminiscent of the whole Larry Bird shoot it over the backboard thing. That type of angle, and got the shot to fall. And felt like that was one of those where when it happened, you go, okay, all right, they're going to win this game. That's a big win for them. Pretty much no matter how you slice it. What did they say was the attendance? 9,313. So maybe not a complete sellout, but it was pretty doggone close to it. Elsewhere around the top 25 last night in college basketball, you had Florida taking care of Oklahoma down in Gainesville. It was a 22-point win for the Gators. Top 5, Houston won big on the road at Arizona State. Iowa State, who's a top 10, they win big at home over Colorado. TCU at home, they upset top 10 Texas Tech last night, beat them by 3 points. TCU, unranked, kind of middle of the road, Big 12. Texas Tech, 20-win team, 9th ranked in the country, and lose a 3-point game on the road. 11th ranked Wisconsin, blowout win over Illinois at home. You had a top 15 matchup in the Big 10, Michigan State and Purdue. Michigan State won that one by 9. Marquette, we saw those earlier in the year. They're ranked in the top, well, they're ranked 16th. They had a blowout win over Seton Hall. And BYU with a blowout upset of Kansas. You had Kansas in the top 25. They went to BYU last night and got beat 91-57. So you had a blowout. And then you'll have three SEC games. I believe just three tonight. Vandy will go to Kentucky, Arkansas will go to Auburn, and Alabama will be on the road at Missouri if you want to watch some basketball on a Wednesday night. All right, hour 2 rolling along here on this Wednesday. I'm Matt in the Bureau. Stick around. Y'all heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. I say they do quality stuff. They really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, I mean, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed, embroidered, sewn on to anything, custom apparel and other stuff, make sure you go there. Murray West, you can find them online. MurrayWest.com. That's MURRY West.com.
I'm 𝐷𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬
Washington County.
I'm Blake Policini with Washington County Farm Bureau.
I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
I think you know what time it is. It's time to eat. Country pleasing, jalapeno and cheddar, green onion. And no, it's not a grill, see that? But the fire is just about burnt down enough where it's time to put some of this on there. And the only decision when it comes to country pleasing sausage is which flavor, jalapeno and cheddar or maybe green onion. Both. Break me off a piece of that. Look at that. You know what that is? That's real green onion. Like that monkey who set his tail on a railroad track. It won't be long now. Country Pleasing sausage, these flavors, and many, many others. Get them online at countrypleasing.com. At a grocery store near you, pretty much anywhere in the Southeast. Walk up in there and say, Country Pleasing, please. They'll know what you're talking about.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area. The blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over.
All right, back with you. I'm Matt in the Bureau, the Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team, they are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance all across the great state of Mississippi. Covered this a little bit in hour 1, but we'll recap here. Got some new folks tuning in case you just tuned in here, hour 2. So the game last night in Hattiesburg, the baseball game, there's several things about that. One, it was a pitcher's night. Really good weather, looked like to me. Again, I'm just going back and watching the replay this morning, so I was not there. We talked to Winslow, who was there, but it looked like decent weather. And they had a great crowd. That would be one thing that's kind of an overall, after going back and watching that one over again. This is preaching to the choir if you're in Mississippi and you're a baseball fan, which most everybody is. So it's not like I'm telling you something you don't already know. But it was, think about this now. It was February the 18th. You're not even really a full week into the season. It's the first midweek games of the year. Everybody had played, anywhere between 2 and 4 games. Opening weekend. And you go to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Southern Miss. They're in the Sun Belt Conference. And they put almost 6,000 people in there for that baseball game last night. And that's the official numbers, 5,741. Yeah, and it was decent weather, 55 degrees and very light wind. Great night for baseball. And that's probably the overall takeaway when I went back and rewatched. It's just like, look at that. I mean, the atmosphere, we know it is. Those of us who've been here and experienced it, we know the atmosphere at Pete Taylor Park is great. We know that Southern Miss fans really support baseball, and they've had great teams under Coach Barry and Coach Palmer in the past and really built their program, But you look out there on a Tuesday night in February the 18th, and they got people out in the right field roost sitting out there beyond the field under the pine trees, and I found myself thinking, man, I kind of wish I was there. Dude, I am not someone who just naturally has some natural leaning to want to be where big groups of people are. I know it's a weird way to word that, and I've never, and who cares about a quote unquote diagnosis of something like that? But I've never gone through any sort of, official test to see if it is true that I'm some version of either antisocial or introvert, but, I kind of figure I am for the most part. But when it comes to that baseball thing, see, and I think it's influenced a little bit by the fact that I have been there. Okay, and if you're the same way, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you've been to Southern Miss on a good day for baseball and just kind of walked around and experienced it, see what it is a really neat thing they have going at Pete Taylor Park. And the way they sit out there in the outfield and they back the trucks up and they kind of sit on tailgates, but then it's 2 or 3 levels. They got a little hill back there, gravel drive. They grill and they cheer and they run, go retrieve home run balls and long foul balls and stuff. It's just a cool thing. And it's not often that I turn on a replay or even live a sporting event that's jam-packed with people and I think to myself, boy, I really wish I was there. It doesn't happen to me often. I'm not one of those. Usually I'm like, it's really neat. That's really cool. I'm glad I'm sitting in my chair in my office just watching it on, the network or on my phone. But in this case, I thought, man, I kind of wish I was sitting out there in that right field. It's just baseball in this state is really, really cool. And we don't have, across the board more national championships and those kinds of trophies than somebody else does. We got our fair share of them, really, I guess, as compared to some others. But it goes really even beyond that. It's a cultural thing. It's an interest thing, a lifestyle thing. And so when I see it every year, I know it, I've talked about it before, but then I see it with my own eyes like I did last night looking at that game in Hattiesburg. It's just another punch in the face reminder of the fact that, man, it's different here. And right now we're in that season where we're overlapping with basketball. And like for State and Ole Miss fans, you got a lot going on there too. I mean, you got tournament teams and a whole lot of interest and a lot to pay attention to. Football will always have its place at the top in terms of it's almost a ritualistic thing on the calendar that we all get involved in and really look forward to. But the baseball deal here in this state, it is special. It is just, can you really, I'm asking, you could ask it in very literal terms if you wanted to. Was there anywhere else in America last night on a Tuesday night with a college baseball game that had more than 4,000 in attendance, let alone 5,000? You had almost 6,000 at Southern Miss, 5,700 and some change. But really answer that for me. I think we know the answer. I think the answer is no. There was nowhere. Let's just run down some examples. Okay, LSU last night hosted Southern from Baton Rouge. Now maybe there, right? And it's not like LSU fans need, a visiting team to help them with their attendance. So let's give them their due, and there you go. Tuesday night, let's see if LSU had. I'll even pull it up because the officials notes for that game. They won 13-1 last night in Baton Rouge. The official notes say that LSU had 9,720. Okay, so LSU in Baton Rouge, they had more. Let's see if we can find another one. You think North Carolina? They were playing hosting Kansas State last night. See, and maybe again, yeah, in terms of tickets sold versus numbers of people who were there. Sven on YouTube says LSU had nowhere near 4,000. I saw the whole game. Well, maybe they didn't, but they announced 9,000. Okay, and we know kind of how that can work. But if we were to look up North Carolina hosting Kansas State, you think they had almost 6,000 people at their baseball game on a Tuesday night? I guarantee you they didn't. Tennessee, the Tennessee Vols. They scored 29 runs last night in a midweek baseball game against, who was it? UNC Asheville. I mean, where is UNC? Is that who it was? Yeah, UNC Asheville. Does UNC Asheville even have a baseball field anymore after that storm and floods and everything in there? I wonder what their situation is. I'd love to know, like where they're practicing. I don't know if the baseball field was affected or not. Let's see what Tennessee announced. Now we're talking about the defending national champion and an SEC team that is at the top of the game. And last night, Knoxville, Tennessee, defending champs. They are second ranked this year. They scored 29 runs on a Tuesday night and announced 4,271. Now, again, yeah, it's different. This was Southern Miss and Mississippi State hosting an SEC team, in-state rivals. People, fans of both teams are going to be there, that kind of thing, sure. I mean, but Tennessee, they got 2,000 less people than Southern Miss had on a Tuesday night. I can't think of any others. There's no way Auburn played Troy last night. I would think there's no way they had almost 6,000 people at the Auburn game. I don't care what they announced. I don't care what Auburn, because I know those people that are over there. Okay? And I'm just going to say this. I don't care what they announced for that baseball game. They beat Troy last night 7-6. Guarantee you they didn't have as many people at that game in Auburn as you actually had at Southern Miss. Auburn and Troy. Okay, so we got a similar deal, right? SEC team versus in-state team from the Sun Belt on a Tuesday night. That scenario is exactly the same. And Auburn had 4,940 people in attendance. So, surprise, surprise, if I just look around at top 25s and that kind of thing, the only one I can find who's even announcing that they had more people than Southern Miss had last night for state is LSU. Sven's saying he watched the game and they didn't have anywhere near the 9,000 they said they did. And yeah, that's true. He also points out that they've got 8,000 season ticket holders. Maybe they just counted all of them. Maybe they did. But the point remains, it's just a different animal when it comes to I think at State, at Ole Miss, at Swayze, for Southern Miss fans at Pete Taylor, it goes beyond just even like supporting the team / attending. It's a gathering. It's what people do here in the state. They gather around the college baseball, and it is a cool thing. You saw it again last night. All right, a little bit of time left with you, and we come back here on this Wednesday in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. Stick around.
I was born and raised in Greenville. I've always called Greenville home. This is where I, was raised, went to high school, graduated high school, worked all my life here, leading up to going to college. So even when I moved from Greenville, I always told people, they asked me where you're from, I always said I'm from Greenville. I have mother, father, brother, niece, aunt, all live here in Greenville. So this is home. This is where I, live, and I've just always called it home. Small town, I feel like I could walk in any place tomorrow and know 2 to 3 people in there. It's small town. Someone's on the side of the road broken down. Hey, you need a boost, flat tire, you need help changing it. That's just kind of, what I love about this area, the blues and the food and everything that comes along with the Mississippi Delta that I love. I tell people all the time, my business cards have my cell phone number on them for a reason. Insurance doesn't happen from 8 to 5. When you need me, it's going to be after 5. It hardly ever happens where you have a wreck, get pulled over, need an insurance card, wind blows, shingles off your roof. All these things happen, and it's typically after 5. And so the ability for someone to call me, get in contact with me, text me, ask me a question, and that's what it's about to me, is helping the people that we serve, is taking care of people, and them knowing that they can count on me whenever they need me. I am Brian Street with Farm Bureau Insurance in Washington County, and we are your home team.
Y'all have heard me talk about Murray West and MurrayWest.com. They made the hat that I'm wearing. Got the Natchez Trace logo on it. I've told you a little bit about what they are. Contract embroidery company here in Mississippi. Started back in 1996, family owned. They do a phenomenal job, and I got to go visit their place up in New Albany. Let me show you a little bit about it. When I say they do quality stuff, they really do. And so custom apparel, team stuff, really and truly, just about every high school in the state is sending their embroidered, team gear, jackets, shirts, hats, stuff. Baseball teams, football teams, they're sending it to the folks at Murray West in New Albany. You go to their website, MurrayWest.com, you go to the bottom, you can kind of see some of the Prairie Wildlife, Ole Miss Athletics, Gentile, others that they work with. Can't recommend them enough. If you need your logo printed.
Or he's got a menu full on the Zone 1059 and worldwide at thezone1059.com.
Well, I wondered. I got to admit, I wondered if and when. I wondered if and when I was going to hear this. My man, Rez Dog. Rez Dog texted the show right on time. We're talking about State losing at Southern Miss last night, 3-0, 4 errors in the ball game. And Rez Dog texts and says, Matt, who you think State's going to hire as the baseball coach next year? So he's asking the same question, but differently, from a different angle. Instead of Matt, do you think they should fire the coach? Or Matt, do you agree with me that they should fire the coach? Who are they going to hire next year, man? Hey, but I'm going to surprise you, Rez Dog. I'm going to take your question seriously. I will say this. If there were to be some change, part of me, there's something about just reading this ain't even going on information. so that may disqualify my opinion on this right away, but something in my gut tells me that if there were a change, that there'd be a heck of a possibility of Parker just moving up and running the whole show. Instead of being your pitching coach, he just becomes your young head coach. I would think, again, that's an if. That's a way down the road if. And I hope that State wins the whole thing this year, and that's never a question. That's what I hope. Well, let's see. All right, we covered. Is that right? Yeah. outside of the realm of sports, we covered the fact that it was National Mint Chocolate Day. Real C's going to have him some mint chocolate while he watches the live scope. Fishermen know what that is. Beaver, he is a big fan of mint chocolate. Let's see what else it is today. Let's see. Hey, Beaver, do you remember this? On this day in 1991, Public Enemy boycotted the 1991 Grammy Awards because the rap award was not going to be presented during the live television ceremony. Remember that?
I don't remember it from the time because I was young, but I've heard stories since about this.
Mm-hmm. That seems like one of those things that there should be some random documentary about it floating around out there, don't you think? I mean, I bet there is one. Okay, on the sports side, let's see what we have. How about this? On this day, in 1935, Lou Gehrig signed a contract with the New York Yankees for $30,000. That was 1935, February the 19th, 1935. 7 years later, the Yankees announced that they would admit 5,000 uniformed servicemen free to each of their home games during the coming season. That was 1942. How about that? 5,000 military servicemen getting to go to the Yankees games free that year. That was pretty cool. On this day in 1965, the NFL began using 6 officials during games. Now, how can that you say it began? They didn't have a game on February the 18th, 1965. They just ruled it in, is what they did. On this day, 1996, Charles Barkley, Sir Charles, Chuck, the round mound of rebound. He was playing for Phoenix for the Suns at this time. In 1996, he got his 10,000th career rebound. He became only the 10th NBA player at the time to reach 20,000 points and 10,000 rebounds in his career. People forget. They know him as the personality. They forget. Totally forget just how good he was. Just downright unbelievable at times, Charles Barkley was, the stuff that he did. Now, you're right, Sven. I should probably get out the inflation calculator. He says, okay, so he's going back to Lou Gehrig signing with the Yankees on this day in 1935 for $30,000. And he said $30,000 back in 1935 is like $300 million today. He said it was a boatload of money. You mean to see if I can find somebody who can calculate that out? So here it is. So $1 in 1935, $1 in 1935 has the same purchasing power or buying power as $23.04 does now. So that means, oh, wow. Well, okay, so here you go, Sven. According to the calculator, the inflation calculator, Lou Gehrig signing with the Yankees in 1935 for $30,000 is the same as a $691,200 contract now. $30,000 then is like almost $700,000 now. So still, it's not close to what these guys are making. I mean, they're paying guys hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're really not all that much better than the other guys. Really. And then like that guy for the Angels, he hasn't even played yet. Well, that's what I'm saying, Sven. All I did is I looked it up. Inflation calculator. We can believe it or not. That's what I'm saying. What else we got? Anything else interesting floating around? Let's see who had birthdays on February the 19th. Let's see if there's anybody we know. Okay, here you go, Beaver. The actor Jeff Daniels. When you think of the actor Jeff Daniels, what role is most prominent in your head about him?
Dumb and Dumber.
Me too. And he's had a bunch. He's done a lot of things. Dumb and Dumber stands out. What about Justine Bateman, who's having a birthday today?
Justine, sister of Justin?
Right.
I don't remember her.
She was Mallory on Family Ties back in the day. The older daughter with dark hair. Michael J. Fox was the son.
Not Justin, Jason.
Yeah, Jason.
I said Justin, didn't I? Jason Bateman.
Well, but you had it on your head because she's Justine, so. Other birthdays today, let's see. Smokey Robinson. Born on this day in 1940, so, I mean, he's still alive. Tears of a Clown. Okay, so you got that. I'm not coming up with anything else that's just earth-shattering about this date in history, Beaver. Let's see. Oh, here we go. Now, here's the thing I've been looking for this whole time. This actually is something that's worth noting. This far into this. Beaver, on this day back in 1968, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood debuted. Now we're talking. It was one of your favorite shows growing up. Did that little puppet, when they'd have the little trolley would go out into puppet land, that little puppet of that little woman, did it freak you out like it did everybody else?
The woman. The woman puppet.
Lady Elaine?
I remember Lady Elaine.
Or whatever her name was. I something like that. I'm sorry. I can't remember the name of it. What was the little puppet's name on? You have to look that one up. Like the trolley would come in and then he'd set it up and then the trolley would go ding, 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 and it would ride. The next thing you know, it was in Puppet Land. It's so stupid.
Yeah. That is it.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking of, but I didn't remember the name. Lady Elaine Fairchild.
That's it. Yes.
Creepy. Creepy puppet.
Yeah. It really was. Like, it's a good idea in theory, but they needed better puppets for this thing.
Yeah, creepy. Looks really snooty as well.
And it kind of had a snooty voice. Okay. And didn't they have a guy that dressed up in a dog suit? You remember what I'm talking about, Beeb?
No, I do not.
You don't remember that? I swear they also he wasn't a puppet, but he was one of the characters. He wore a full body dog suit, had big floppy ears. That one kind of messed with my head too. So maybe that does explain some things. We all thought that was good and wholesome, and it turns out all in the world it did was giving us all nightmares. These puppets on Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Anyhow, it began on this day all the way back in 1968. All right, that's a good show today. I enjoyed that. Hope you did too. And I appreciate all the texts and the phone calls and the comments on the live stream. Everybody being a part of it. A lot of fun. We'll move ahead. Midweek baseball, basketball tonight for some, not us, but for some. And then we'll peek ahead of the weekend, get ready for baseball and basketball this weekend coming up. All right. For Beaver, I'm Matt. All of us here on the show in the Bureau, the Farm Bureau Insurance Studio. We'll see you down the road.